Hello everyone, welcome back to KitbashCarnage. So today we're going to take a look at part 3 of 4 of the portal for our army, the Mutant Bearers of Faith. So this is where we've got so far on making the portal. So if you've watched part 1, you would know that we made this kind of terrain looking piece out of some Arctic ice coffee containers and basically some XPS foam, some milliput and other bits and bobs. We made it so we can take the top off for easy transportation by using the natural lids to screw them on and off. So in part 2 of 4 we kitbashed some faith followers. And then that brings us up to date in part 3 of 4. So in this part we're going to add towards the whole overall aesthetics of the portal itself by making some bits and bobs to give it more of a menacing look and add towards the whole aesthetic of the build itself. So here you can see a sprue. This empty sprue came off of a Gundam kit that I had, and basically I seen these circular bits and I'm going to use this to make a circular kind of torture kind of prison cage. And that, along with another long piece from the Gundam kit, I'm going to make as like a hanging torture cage, just to add towards the whole aesthetics of the army itself. So here you can see the circular bits and then other bits of sprue that I've cut off to create the bars and then the horizontal and vertical bars of the whole cage itself. So by doing this, it saves us extra time and having to put extra bits here and there. It basically hurries up the whole process. But trying to finesse it, and it's a bit finicky basically trying to get this part done. But once you have one or two of the bits of sprue stuck, you can then work off of that, and it's easier to hold it all together like that. Also, I don't know if I've said recently, but we've hit 300 subscribers, so thank you very much for each and every one of you. I really appreciate all the support, whether it's big or small, by just leaving a comment, a like, or subscribing, or hitting that notification bell to be notified when I release a video. I really do appreciate it. It means an awful lot. The YouTube doesn't seem to push us small creators out there too much, so doing any type of interaction, whether it be good or bad to the channel, is appreciated. Rather the good, thanks. But like I said, thank you very much, and 300 subscribers, onwards and upwards. So as you can see here, I've bent some what is paper clips along the side of the cage here, just so I could add some jeweler's chain and link it in there. So as soon as I link them in, I just hot glue it on, and this is going to be used for hanging the cage itself off of the crane kind of bit we're going to do. So after getting the other bit of chain done, we then put a bottle cap underneath to close off the bottom, and then we're going to get a piece of XPS foam and just give it a bit of roughness with some mold kind of rollers there, and a bit of tin foil that's just rolled into a ball, and just get some texture onto this piece of offcut of XPS foam, cutting into it just to make it look more like a rock shape or a piece of the building that's just sticking out, kind of being prominent, kind of like a ledge. So it's off of this piece that we're going to actually build the crane kind of torture swinging arm type of thing that we're doing. And then we're just gonna, obviously the crane arm needs some type of movement, so using these gears that we like to use in a lot of our projects, we're going to hot glue that through a kebab stick. That gives us like a pivot or a motion point, and then along with more bits and bobs, we'll make a little kind of component or a little computer mechanism control point that it will look aesthetically like this crane can then be controlled by that point. So I have a barrel here that I print out multiple bits of these barrels and boxes and stuff like that, and chests and things. And I'm going to use this 3D printed barrel just as the pivot point for the main crane body. So as you've seen there, we just cut off a little bit and then filed it down, and then we're going to drill into this barrel so we can then use that as another pivot point and make it look, the whole thing look like it could actually move, and it's somewhat of realism towards it. Just be careful, everybody, once again, with using hot glue. I tried to be as careful as possible with using like popsicle sticks and whatnot to spread it, but sometimes I do forget and use my finger, but I'm used to this, so don't do what I do, do as I say, as I kind of say in the videos, even though sometimes it doesn't make sense, but just be careful, please. Also, try to use specific snips for specific jobs. Like I use this snips to cut these wooden sticks, but I don't use the same one to cut my miniatures off sprues. So I use this to cut the sticks and like the chain and jeweler's chain and stuff. So just to let you know, cutting the sticks or kebab sticks or the jeweler's chain with your snips and then using it to cut your miniatures off sprues will in fact damage the snips, so just bear that in mind. So here you can see the little balcony bit I was talking about, and then using some more kebab sticks just to use to kind of like hold it up as it's like holding it in position, and getting a 3D printed box that we done here, drilling a hole through that, and then we're going to make this into the lever or the winch mechanism of the whole crane. Like I said, you don't really have to do stuff like this, but I like to make things look realistic to a point. Make it look like it is somewhat feasible to do, like what is meant to be done. If any of this makes sense to any of my waffling whatsoever. And using this 90-degree angle piece of sprue, we're just going to create a little handle. So like I said, to be able to use a winch motion to move this crane up and down. I don't know if I've said this in future videos or previous videos. I definitely don't know this if I've said it in future ones. But in previous videos, I get all these gears and stuff like that and jeweler's chain off Temu. No affiliation, no sponsorships, nothing like that. But it's the easiest for me where I live. I can get a packet of this jeweler's chain or the gears. You get like about at least 25 of different types in a pack, or 30 in a pack for like £2, £1.50, something like that. Probably cheaper sometimes. So like that's just where I get them if anybody's interested. So this is the crane mechanism so far, and what we've done, as you can see, it can kind of move up and down, and then we primed it, as you can see some pictures there, and then after we primed it, we're going to give it a little coat of some paint. Now this coat of paint won't be the whole finished process. This will just be what will be done to get a play ready, shall I say, or the diorama kind of ready for the meantime. We will later on in future videos, when we do the Faith followers, we'll paint this a bit more in detail and add little bits here and there. As I don't know if you've seen in the background, there's something falling off. So using your hot glue gun to go around, like I said, I'm using these Arctic iced coffee containers for my basically my stability and the main body of the portal. So by using them, I can't add texture easily onto the bottles. I could use milliput and then use texture rollers and stuff like that, but instead of wasting all that material, I use about 2 glue sticks just by doing this kind of pattern on the actual bottle itself, giving a brick kind of look ish, you know, it's doable for what we need, and then just getting one of my partner's makeup brushes out. She won't know until she hears this video, and then using that as a dry brush to quickly go around. I do apologize, love, to quickly go around and get some highlights and some definition in the overall build before we go in and do some details. So going in with like a brassy kind of brownish colour, like a metalish colour, we're just going to paint some bits that are kind of supposed to stand out, look a bit metal, look a bit rustic, look a bit mechanic. This is just to make certain bits pop out, and like I said, later on down the line, the next video, we'll then go over the bits again to make everything stand out a little bit more. So I don't know if anyone's noticed how I like to paint. I tend to pick a colour and try to get everything that I want in that same colour done at once. So then when you move on to your next colour, that colour is starting to dry, and by the time you come back to painting near that colour you just put down at the beginning, hopefully it's dry, so then you can apply a different colour. Like, I don't know if this is how you're supposed to paint or everyone paints, but this is how I paint. I paint all the same colour on that model where it needs to be, and then move on to my next colour instead of swapping it from colour to colour. I just think it helps me stick to a plan and get bits actually done. If I keep on swapping between things, I can tend to leave bits of the miniature or the train and stuff not unfinished and unpainted. So this way I've got a whole step done. Like, I've painted all of the rivets, or I've painted all of the metal parts, or all of, you know, certain thing, and I just have to do another step instead of having to finish a whole other part of the project. It's a bit contradicting myself, because another step is a whole other part of the project, but you know what I mean. I hope you know what I mean. Once again, I'd like to say to anyone watching or any subscribers, leave your comments below on anything you'd like to see. I'm working on subscribers' videos at the moment, subscribers who have left comments. I'm still working on videos that you've left, so don't worry, I haven't forgot. But for any future people, just don't forget, leave a comment on anything you'd like to see or you haven't seen, or an idea you have that you might want to see kind of quickly KitbashCarnaged up on the spot, and see how I may have do something or approach something, and may give you an idea of how you would do a project that you don't want to invest time in doing something and later find out a mistake or whatnot. So yeah, let me know in the comments any ideas, any project information you want to know, or tips you may have for myself or vice versa. Let me know, and also link in the description for our TikTok and our Instagram. Don't forget to follow all them, and our Facebook page for specific posts that wouldn't be put on YouTube, pictures and stuff like that. So a little tip I like to go by is just remember that paint can be added onto and stripped off depending on what type of paint and what type of material you've actually painted on. So I tend not to be very precise unless I'm working on something that I specifically want to get the painting very, very detailed, which I don't tend to go into in a lot of my projects for a specific reason, because I don't like to put a lot of time into painting. I would rather put all that time into like creating the project that I have in my brain come to life, rather than paint it to how I want it to might look like, if that makes sense. I like to see it come to life in actual form before I see it in colour come to life, because that's the last part of the piece of the whole project. That's a piece of resistance, or whatever you call it. That's the cherry on top of the cake, you know. So just making sure we've painted all the stuff on the main piece there, the main structure, and then going on to the top hat type things, the structures that go on top of the whole tower, that screw onto the lids there, painting the colour that we want on them, the little gargoyle type of statues that are sticking out, and any other type of metallic or metal bits that are on it. And now after doing all that, we're going to move on to the demonesque kind of the Mutant Bearers of Faith part of the whole structure itself. So it's painting in all these demonesque bits, basically all the milliput molds that we done, and the features and the details that we put in there. So painting with our Flora paint here, just to make it stand out. And then going in and out with some details, some blue, painting up the tentacles, keeping along the lines of our theme, same kind of colour. And this is what we've got so far. And then moving on to the next step, it's going in with some fairy lights and sticking them into the portal to create the beam kind of portal look we want. So we're just sticking the battery pack onto the little bit of sprue on top here, and we'll later paint that in and make it look kind of aesthetically pleasing to the best of our ability. Like I said, this is a Mutant Bearers of Faith Carnage kind of demonesque army, so having a bit of mess here and there kind of goes along the lore of the army and helps us. So I'm not too fussed about it being a bit messy. And there you might think we're actually trying to glue down the wire, but what we're doing here is creating a seal, airtight seal or a leak-proof seal around the edge of the portal with the hot glue. Apologies that my hand is just blocking it there, but we're just going around the edge of the portal and we're letting the hot glue drip into any crevices there. So then when we put the UV resin on top of the fairy lights and the UV resin, the portal itself, and the milliput and all that, where the guy's legs are sticking out, then it will create that see-through film on top, and it won't leak out onto the whole project itself. So a little tip, using hot glue to fill in these little gaps, and then putting the UV resin over it helps in some scenarios, because the hot glue is somewhat like see-through, if that makes sense. So depending on what you're trying to do, this can come in handy. And then getting a few of these kind of purple beads, I got these just for kind of like decoration added. Kind of what they do is they reflect the light in different directions when it's in the UV resin, so it helps distribute the light throughout the UV resin, if that makes sense. I hope it does. And then just using our black light here just to cure that UV resin. You could realistically turn off all your lights, make it a little bit darker. That would help with all this process, but yeah, I'm not patient enough for that. So yeah, we just kind of done our best, and it worked out in the end. So here we are, just painting the LED lights, or the fairy lights wire, into like a blue tentacle going along with the theme there, and then we'll go in and paint the white pack there and blend that into the background itself. Just making sure we have good coverage, enough coverage to hide the battery pack. And then we're moving on to the battery pack of the little smoke beam that I'm going to have on top. So this just came to me while I was doing the portal. So I had another battery pack here, and then a little purple tube that we put stuffed the fairy lights into, and then we're going to glue the lid of that on top of the battery pack, and then that will hold the actual tube with the lights in it. And then that we're going to attach some, believe it or not, some of my dog's toy, one of his chewed up dog toys. I kept some of the stuffing from it, and it's very good texture. It's like clouds kind of smoke texture, or consistency, or whatever way you say it. But it's not like cotton wool. It's kind of more firm, if that makes sense. More cloud like. We're just going to hot glue that onto this tube, and then you'll see then this creates kind of a smoke kind of beam kind of look that we want to do here. So just making sure that you can still open it and take it off the battery pack, and then as you can see here, this is the look that we wanted. It actually turned out much better than I expected it to, so happy days. And then, like I said, making sure that you can attach it straight onto the battery pack by pulling it on and off. And this, along with screwing the topper kind of crown bits off, allows easy transportation, and less likely for it to just snap off in moving it to place. So we're just trying to secure it in place and make sure it all looks correct. And then what better to top off a Carnage style Mutant Bearers of Faith army terrain than lots of blood and gore. So we'll mix a bit of red paint in with some PVA glue, and then a bit of Flora red, Flora orange and yellow, and then we're going to just mix this up into a goop type of consistency and spread this, just drizzle this all around anywhere you see fit. Looking back, I would have wanted to do this a little bit lighter, but here it's done and dusted. It looked alright in the end, and I'm happy with what happened in the end. Like I said, we're going to do touch-ups in part 4 of 4. But yeah, this is what we have so far. So we went from Arctic iced coffee containers to a Mutant Bearers of Faith Warhammer portal. Like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.